We do not need more studies, and we do not need to debate whether social media is a problem for children. We already know the answer. Please table the Online Safety Act and pass it quickly. Stop asking children to wait. The time for studies is over, and it's time for action.
It seems like there was a massive bug with StreamYard once again, because this was supposed to be playing a video right now. But just so you know, we are talking about Sara Austin from Children First Canada. And wait until you hear the speech she gave in committee today. The debate is over, the science is settled, and already Bill C-63 is making a comeback. My name is Nico Lagan. I'm too conservative for the conservatives. My co-host Rob Ambrose, not woke enough for the liberals. We are the political orphans. Unfortunately, it seems like we had a bug with StreamYard. Hopefully, it played for you guys because it did not play on our side. But this was Sara Austin from Children First Canada, and the reason I'm bringing her up today is because obviously you guys realize that the most important thing to me is free speech. And she is a staunch advocate of censorship in the name of children. So today I was doing research, getting prepared for this show, and then I start seeing articles out of the blue. I haven't heard about this woman in years, and somehow 3 or 4 different media outlet, like mainstream media, are reporting on a girl by the name of Carol Todd. I do not know if you know who Carol Todd is, but she is a mother. I'm just going to bring it up on the screen here. There we are, just to show you one of the articles I'm talking about. I started seeing this article, and it's posted on at least 3 to 7 or 8 mainstream media platform, and they're all saying the same thing. Social media ban would need oversight through online harms bill. Carol Todd. I'm like, okay, hold on. February 3rd, 2026, 2:40 in the afternoon. That's today. So I'm like, why are we talking about this? Because just to put a bit of context to it, she lost her daughter back in 2010, if I'm not mistaken. It's at least 10 years ago. And she lost her daughter to something along the lines of online bullying, is how they like to call it. But she blames online for the loss of her daughter. So I'm listening. It's never good when multiple places of mainstream media start talking about the same thing. I'm like, social media ban, eh? Yeah, okay, cool. So I start digging, and it turns out that she was in committee today. She was.
What did she say?
She
So
was in
basically, her
committee.
daughter committed suicide. Is that what happened? And then she's blaming social media, and then is trying to ban social media for that.
It's basically there was a Dutchman who was accused of extorting and harassing her daughter online. She's from BC.
Sure.
And so they basically say Todd, whose daughter Amanda died by suicide after online sextortion, is how they call it.
Okay, so penalize the guy who did that, because that's criminal behavior, right? Like, charge him. I'm completely fine with him never being out of prison for the rest of his life. But why ban for everyone else? That doesn't make sense.
No, of course not. But we all know what's happening in Australia right now. They have banned social media for teenagers 15 and under. But this is something that she's been talking about for a long time. Like, she's been on a crusade when it comes to it. And I will not put you guys through the speech that she gave because it was boring. It was, she is not a good speaker, so it's not very interesting. And all the respect to her losing her daughter, I cannot imagine as a parent outliving your children. That's probably the worst thing that can happen to you. But what I wanted to talk about, what this brought up, is that they're in committee speaking about this right now. They are, let me find the name of the committee. I had it right here. The name of the committee, it's under the Canadian Heritage, and the name of the committee is The Effect of Influencers on Social Media Content on Children and Adolescent Today. So the effect of influencer and social media content on children and adolescent today. So as I was listening to the committee speak, there's a woman that I know of, that I've heard of, that I've seen what she does. Her name is Sara Austin. That was the video that played. You didn't get to see it because of the bug with the streaming platform. For some reason, we didn't see it. I hope it played. But it's really her, that women like her scare the shit out of me because people listen to her. You know, the angry Karen that knows how to speak to a camera, that knows how to make it sound very emotional, politically charged. Well, she gave a 2-minute and 50-second speech today, and I apologize if the video quality is not great, but you will not see that anywhere else. I had to screen record my screen as the video was playing because it's on the House of Commons. It's not available on social media or on YouTube right now. I recorded it off my screen, so I don't know that the quality is the best, but hopefully it's good enough and the sound is great. But I want you guys to listen to the speech that she gave, and I did not remove any portions. Like from the middle, there's no clipping together. All I did is I removed the part where she's being introduced, and I removed, I think I removed 2 seconds at the end where she's passing the puck to somebody else. But the speech that we're going to hear right now is her one shot just going. It starts the way that it starts. I did not pick and choose. It is just messed up. So I want us to listen to it, and then we probably will play it again just to break it down, because what she's preaching is full blast censorship, and she takes no accountability for her action at all. It reminded me of the science is settled during COVID. You're not allowed to question vaccine because the science is settled. So let's play the video and let's discuss it afterwards.
The founder and CEO of Children First Canada, advocating for the rights of 8 million children. I'm also the mother of a teenage boy whose 15 years of life have been entirely immersed in the digital age. I'm also joined by 2 brave and remarkable youth, Zachary and Josephine. And we're here with a very simple message. We do not need more studies, and we do not need to debate whether social media is a problem for children. We already know the answer. The evidence is overwhelming and consistent. Children are sexually exploited, groomed, bullied.
Did you hear what she just said? Like, she is literally saying that we don't need any more debate on this. It needs to get handled now. Like, listen, I'll play it again.
Very simple message. We do not need more studies, and we do not need to debate whether social media is a problem for children. We already know the answer.
When I hear somebody talks like that ultimate terms,
we don't need any debate. We don't need any debate. We already know the answer. Well, how can we know if that's the right answer if we don't have debate? Just trust us, bro. Trust me, bro. Basically.
But that's just the beginning. We're 25 seconds in. This is how she started. Yeah. She doesn't let go the whole way through. Oh, hold on. Let me play it.
Million children. I'm also the mother of a teenage boy whose 15 years of life have been entirely immersed in the digital age. I'm also joined by 2 brave and remarkable youth, Zachary and Josephine. And we're here with a very simple message. We do not need more studies, and we do not need to debate whether social media is a problem for children. We already know the answer. The evidence is overwhelming and consistent. Children are sexually exploited, groomed, bullied, extorted, and exposed to content that harms their mental health and development at scale every single day. These harms are foreseeable and preventable. 1,619 days have passed since the government pledged to table the Online Safety Act, and kids are still waiting.
This is a part that probably people did not catch, but because I'm in these bills all the time, she made a mistake right there. She kind of because it is not called the Online Safety Act. She's referring to Bill C-63 that is called the Online Harms Act. And there was rumors going on that the Liberals are going to be retabling it. This is not a rumor. This has been said by both Mark Miller and Sean Fraser. But the rumor was that it was going to be renamed the Online Safety Act. So clearly that was not a mistake, as in maybe it was a slip up, but this is not how Bill C-63 is called. It was called the Online Harms Act. She's kind of proving a rumor that they're talking about calling it the Online Safety Act. It sounds a lot better, right? Online Safety Act.
Oh yeah, it sounds way better. Yeah. I mean, for propaganda purposes, yeah. I mean, it's because that's how it works, right? Because who can be against safety? So you're
think about the children.
Oh yeah, exactly, right. And that's exactly why they do those things, right? They name them something innocuous that everyone would be in support of, and they hide the poison inside the bill, knowing that most people are not going to read it.
So yeah, but it's just all those little things that I realize as I'm listening to somebody speak, as I pay attention to the words people use. Yeah. This is indicative of something that is really coming up.
That's why we launched the Countdown for Kids, to make delay visible, measurable, and impossible to ignore. Because while Parliament studies, platforms profit, and while committees debate, kids pay the price. Every day of delay costs children something they cannot get back, a day of their childhood.
You see the way that she speaks. So we cannot be studying this, guys. We need to pass censorship legislation right away because kids cannot afford to wait. Doesn't that sound familiar to would you rather have a girl or a dead son?
Yeah,
this is the same type.
Completely manipulative, and I yeah, because I mean, that's the issue that I really sort of, cut my teeth in. That's the reason I have such a large following on X. So I'm pretty well versed in it. But almost every single detransitioner, there's thousands of people who detransitioned. They have some story of that the therapist that is a famous sentence that therapists have used everywhere across the West, where they say, would you rather have a dead son or a living daughter, or a dead daughter or a living son, what have you? But it's completely manipulative. It manipulates, the parents' love for their child by presenting an option that's really not based on reality. The fact is, yeah, exactly right. It's just pure emotional manipulation. And yeah, I think whenever you see once you notice those tactics, you see it everywhere.
And tell me that is not the exact same. As soon as I heard this, I'm like, yeah. And if you notice, she's bang on. She's very well spoken. She's using a lot of high emotional speech. She's using statistics. She's using, she knows what she's doing. This is why a woman like her is extremely dangerous. So let's continue the video because we're about halfway through.
Okay. Launch the Countdown for Kids in honor of children like Amanda Todd, Rehtaeh Parsons, Carson Cleland, Daniel Lintz, Harry Burke, and many more who tragically died due to online harms. Their lives were full of possibility and their pain was preventable. We say their names because decisions that you make have real consequences. It seems painfully obvious to parents and children what the solution is, and we need your help. We are fighting against a multi-billion-dollar tech industry that opposes the Online Safety Act because their profits depend on engagement at any cost.
That is incorrect. They're not the one that's resisting, you dumb. It's us. It's people that realize that what you're trying to do is censor the internet. See how she's not pushing it. She's not saying that people like us exist to say we don't want censorship. No. It's us against Goliath. That is the telecom, the massive corporations that are running those social media platforms. It would be impossible that regular people would not want to be censored online. See how she's very clever in the way that she's saying it. It's really, she's making it sound like at the beginning she said, I represent 8 million children. Fuck no, you don't. You don't talk for my son, woman. Clearly you don't represent 8 million children. And it's not a David and Goliath. It's a David and Goliath battle, but it is not against the tech companies. It's against the government that's trying to censor us. It's very clever what she's doing. It's very, very clever.
Yeah, and well, she knows what she's doing, right? These are pretty very effective tactics. Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, once you see that pattern, those tactics, and because the left uses them on all kinds of different issues, right? Like this issue has nothing to do with the trans issue, and yet you see the same tactics, the same tactics in the ICE issue, right? The immigration debate. It's all about
same tactic during COVID.
It's all emotional appeal, and the fact of the matter is like, even if I agreed with someone, I'd feel very uncomfortable being on the same side as someone who's using those tactics, because it's like, why are you doing that? Like, if you have a persuasive argument, then make that argument and persuade people.
So yes, one might reasonably ask, what chance do parents and kids really have in this David and Goliath fight? Well, I live in Alberta, and there's one thing you learn quickly here. It's that you never get between a mama bear and her cubs. And the mama bears of Canada are not going down without a fight. And I could promise you that the papa bears are fighting too. But let me be very clear. There is no silver bullet. No bill will be perfect. No law will stop every harm. But perfection has never been the standard for protecting our children. Seatbelts aren't perfect. Food safety laws aren't perfect. Toy safety standards aren't perfect. Yet Parliament has acted when children's lives have been in danger. We cannot afford partisan gridlock again. So if there's one thing that all of you should agree on, it's the protection of our children.
We cannot, so the science is settled, no more debate, and you're not allowed to push back on that bill. No more gridlocks. See, it's literally it's COVID once again. You are not allowed to debate. You're not allowed to question. You have to follow what we tell you, or else. That is not the type of people I want in power of anything. Absolutely nothing. Yeah, that woman is dangerous as shit, and she has the ears of the government, which worries me. It really, women like her, I cannot trust at all. She is too good, too calculated. She's too effective at what she does, and she is very manipulative in a way that she wants to shut down debates from the get-go, like she knows better. You know what's interesting about everything that she said in the speech that was given by Carol Todd as well? Not at any single moment do they ever look at themselves as a parent to say, maybe I can prevent my children from going online. That was never a consideration. You know, I know multiple families in the US that their kids are homeschooled, and you know what they all have in common outside of their kids are homeschooled? They're not on any social media platform. None of them have cell phones. If they have a cell phone, it's a flip phone in case of an emergency because they're old enough to drive. But outside of that, they do not want their kids on those social media platforms. And guess what? Some of those kids are building robots for fun. So that argument that, oh, if they're not exposed to technology, they're not going to be fitting, they're not going to fit in our world, that's bull. So there is solutions to this, but preventing people from going online is definitely not one of them.
Yeah, like if you're,
this is not
sorry, man, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, like, you know, even if I hate the way that that they're attacking this problem. You know, if you actually think there's a real problem, then like, let's talk about it. I'm open to a discussion. You know, I tell me what your solutions are. I got a feeling I'm not going to like them, but I'll listen to them. But like, you know, that's not really what she starts with the assumption that everyone believes what she believes, and I don't like that.
That she knows best. As soon as you tell me that you cannot have an open discussion,
we can't have any more debate. It's settled.
No, I can't. Right then and there, as soon as you tell me that the discussion is not up for debate, I don't care what you're talking about.
Even if I agree with you,
I'm not interested.
Even if
exactly,
I'm on your
I don't care.
On the issue. Yeah, I don't.
Yep, I don't care.
Yeah, just don't say that. That's never correct. The science is settled. That's the whole point of science. Is never settled.
That the whole point of science is to have the scientific method is to have your peers do everything they do to discredit what you're doing. And if they can't, then it's exactly, if they're able to do it, go back to the drawing board. If they can't, they co-sign you, and then guess what? Your advancement, that your discoveries are approved. But the whole point is to be challenged to a point where you prove them wrong. You prove that you're right, and that they can dismiss you. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, you can't say, yeah, the science is settled and therefore we are not going to talk about it anymore. Because, you know, as you say, like in science, if someone disproves something and it's a big enough issue, they win the Nobel Prize. Like they give awards for people who disprove or discover new things. They don't say no. You know, you can't study this mathematical equation is correct, but you can't study it. You can't, you can't try to figure it out for yourself. Just trust me, bro.
It's okay. Trust the science, bro.
Yeah, trust the science, bro. It's settled. It's not how it works.
Oh, I don't know. Hold on.
Are you playing her?
Zachary and Josephine. Okay. And we're here with a very simple message. We do not need more studies, and we do not need to debate whether social media is a problem for children. We already know the answer. The evidence is
shit, it went back to the beginning for some reason. Hold on.
We cannot afford partisan gridlock again. So if there's one thing that all of you should agree on, it's the protection of our children. This is not about censorship. It is not about moral panic.
No, of course not.
Blaming parents or children. It is about accountability. Children cannot vote. They do not sit in cabinet, and they do not control multi-billion-dollar algorithms. So today I ask you and our Prime Minister and all members of Parliament to treat this for what it is, a crisis that's endangering the lives of Canada's children. Please table the Online Safety Act and pass it quickly. Stop asking children to wait. The time for studies is over, and it's time for action.
So, no debates, no gridlocks, no talks. The science is settled. Don't dare question me. And yet, did you notice that she talked nothing about facts? This was all an opinion. She didn't have to back it. The only stats that she gave was a number saying it's been over 1,000 days since the government made a promise to table that Online Safety Act or that Online Harms Act. But outside of that, did you notice? It's all her opinion, but she made it sound like she was 100% accurate. Yet she provided no scientific data. She referred no science whatsoever. But you are not allowed to debate her. Tell me this is not dangerous to our freedom, to free speech. This is exactly COVID once again. And people like her are so dangerous, absolutely, absolutely dangerous, because they're smart, they know exactly what they're doing, and they know how to appeal to the other Karens out there that will not question what she says. Yet, don't blame parents, but it's time for accountability. Are you serious? Don't blame parents, but it's time for accountability. I blame parents because it is it's their responsibility. That's where the
accountability needs it. Yeah, on the one hand, you're right. We do need accountability, but it's got to be parents that take accountability for their kids, right?
That is, man, that is absolutely. I listened to this and it's messed up. So I found that video earlier and I'm like, yeah, we definitely need to address this because this is not right. This is so absurd that women like Sarah Austin has the ears of the government and is pushing for social media censorship in the name of protecting the children. Don't blame the parents, but it's time for accountability. Like, this is double speak right there. This is right out of 1984. Right there. Absolutely crazy that women like her or people like her are able to speak in committee like they know what the hell they're talking about, because she claims to represent 8 million children. Well, guess what? You don't represent mine. I can tell you that much. Stu, thank you for the tips, sir. Stop C63 could not agree with you more. And thank you to Church of Fizz. Oh no, of Hertz. Church of Hertz. It's Hertz.
Okay.
Church of Hertz gifted 1 membership. Thank you very much, sir.
Quite the name.
Yeah, that's quite a mouthful. Yeah. It's crazy that we are allowing these people to speak in front of committee and influence committees, because the thing we need to remember is that the Liberals are 1 seat away from a majority right now, and the Bloc Québécois and the NDP are massive fans of censorship. So even if the Conservative Party actually did what they're supposed to do and go after that bill, it's literally impossible for them to block it. So Bill C-63, when it's retabled, it will pass. This is just a matter of time before it passes, unless something really big happens with the Canadian population where they just stand up and say, this cannot be. And both Liberals and Conservative, this is not a left versus right issue here. This is really about being able to say what you want to say, no matter how it makes other people feel.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, you know, there's some great comments here. This one is from Trevor Benson. Very simple. There's no room for in politics for emotion. And of course, you know, you're never going to be able to remove emotion from politics. And it is primarily a female thing, but men should display emotions too. But I think as a guiding principle, no room in politics for emotion should be at least your ideal. You're never going to quite get there, but you have to have an ideal that you strive towards. And I think you should strive to remove emotion as much as possible from politics, for sure.
Before we welcome our guest, I just want to address one simple comment here, because Devil's Jew is saying, no, the Libs lost another seat a couple of days ago. There are at 169 now. You're talking about Bill Blair that accepted the next ambassador role to the UK, but they didn't lose anything. His riding is in Scarborough, Ontario, and they've already recruited. Yes, yeah, because he's unlike Chrystia Freeland, he's actually leaving his post, but it is in a riding that the Liberals have won at every single election since 1993, and they've already found a replacement. No, but listen to this, because I wanted to talk about it.
If it was at-risk seat.
No, but the biggest thing is that they're poaching an MPP, so she represents the NDP of Ontario. They're poaching her. They're bringing her to the federal Liberals in order to run for them in that riding. So it's already been decided. They're not losing. They're not losing.
Get that.
100%. Rachel, 100%. You thumbs up. You're ready to go. You can hear.
Before we get to it, just very quickly on that final point on that is, in all practical terms, they've got a majority, right? They're 1 seat away, and they've got Elizabeth May out there. So it's not an official majority, but in practice, it's a majority.
Oh yeah, they're 1 bottle of alcohol away from having her agree on any bill they want.
That's right.
On that,
can give her a bottle of vodka.
Yeah, on that note, we are joined by journalist and podcaster Rachel Parker to speak about her being banned from the Conservative Party National Convention last week. Rachel, nice to see you again. How are you doing?
Rachel.
Hey guys, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for your time. We haven't spoken. We recorded an episode a long time ago. We haven't spoken much since then. And you sent me a post, and I'm going to bring it up here because this is, we're talking about censorship, the Bill C-63 and the speeches that were given today in committee. And you know, what happened to you last week to me is on the same, it's on the same ballpark, right? Censorship is censorship. I don't care who does it. Censorship is censorship. So you sent me the following. I'm just going to share my screen so that the audience can see what we're talking about here. But you sent me this right here. So on your X, you shared that journalist at Jason Levine and I were both barred from the CPC convention held in our backyard this weekend, despite having some of the biggest platforms in Alberta. Are the journalists and influencers who were given access really not going to speak up on this censorship? I think you figured out the answer to that question, didn't you?
Yeah, I certainly did. Do you want me to give a quick recap for the audience
Please
as
do,
to
yeah.
what happened? Yeah, so
1,000,000%, yes.
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with this story.
Okay, so the Conservative Party, and that was in Calgary this past weekend. I got the automatic response request, and they would let me know. Didn't hear anything. I directly emailed the Conservative Party Director of Communications, Sara Fisher, who knows me. I mean, mind you, I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm only recently independent, and I've spoken to her about stories before. So it's not like these people don't know who I am. I'm not some random podcaster. I'm one of the few journalists that actually worked in the Parliamentary Press Gallery, has worked in the mainstream media, and now works in the independent media. So, and I've worked for almost every independent media outlet. So these people know who I am. And they just didn't respond. I sent several follow-up emails because I was going to talk publicly about how this was happening. And I wanted to be sure that they, it wasn't just one email that was sent. I sent multiple emails and they didn't respond. And so, some people were like, well, you don't really know that you were banned because they didn't email you back. And I'm like, well, I'm not a moron. I know that they were ignoring me. I also know what's going on in the background, right? Because I know a lot of political organizers who work in municipal elections, who work in provincial elections, who work in federal elections. And what we've been seeing in the background over the last year is people who are on the independent side of things have not been getting hired by the party to do jobs, or in some cases, I know an organizer in the party basically reached out to them and said, we know what we're doing. Because we just had a federal election just in the last spring. And, an organizer, the federal party reached out to them and said, can you just stop with the independent stuff? Keep it quiet for the time being. So they've been frustrated about this rising sentiment for a while. Some people were like, well, you've just been too critical of the party. I have criticized them, but I'm not also someone who's constantly, the Conservative Party does this and that. I think I'm pretty fair in my analysis. If you watch my show, I don't cover a ton of federal politics, but when I do talk about them, I'll say I really I think that Pierre Poilievre has been very good on the jail, not bail issue. He has been very strong on that issue from the get-go. It's one of the things I think he's done very successfully. I specifically remember one press conference in which he actually had the breakdown of how many people were committing crimes and how many of the crimes that were committed in Canada were repeat offenders. And the numbers were shocking. So very impactful on issues like that. On other things like immigration, which is also tied to crime, he's totally lost. The party is totally lost in some senses. Right now they actually seem to be more liberal than Mark Carney's party. And so I've been very fair in my analysis. If I think they're doing something right, if I think they're doing something wrong, but I am critical. I do look at things through an analytical lens. My husband is infamously very critical of the Conservative Party of Canada. He has said some things that have gotten him in a lot of trouble. So I think there was a myriad of reasons that led to them not wanting me at their convention. And that in and of itself, I wasn't as surprised by funny, I'm 28 and I think I've seen a lot and learned a lot about politics, but people are always surprising to you because as you said, absolutely nobody spoke up for me that was there. And I've worked with most of those independent journalists before in some capacity and would have called a good number of them friends as well. But I guess no one wants to risk their own access to speak up for this. So a lot of silence over the weekend when I posted that.
So Rachel, it goes with the territory. 100% goes with the territory. But just before you ask, Rob, there's another part to this story. because Jason Levine reposted your post, and what you're saying kind of aligns with what I've been saying. I tend to push a lot more on the I criticize the conservatives every single day because they're supposed to represent me and they don't. So the liberals are not on my side no matter what. So I'm going to criticize them because they don't believe the same things I do, but the conservatives are supposed to, but they don't. So that's why I criticize them all the time. But in this post, Jason Levine reposted you, and he basically said, 2 years in a row, I've received a media pass for the UCP AGM, and even had Premier Daniel Smith on my show a couple of times. After contacting the CPC Media Relations for a media pass, I didn't even get a courtesy of a no, nothing. It's a bad look, but hey, I don't believe the federal government works for us. This is just more proof I'm right. So here is what's interesting. One of the guys that should have probably stood up to censorship, stood up to for you. That was one of the main guys that organized that content creator gathering that happened in Alberta last week, the pleb. He answers Jason saying, Jason, you were a PPC candidate in the last election. Why the hell would they give you access to this event when you're part of the political opposition with the sole purpose of splitting the vote? Use your head, man. They made the right call here. Nobody owes you anything. And this right there proves the point that I've been making forever. They are just walking the political line, and they will not criticize the Conservative Party because, as you said, it's going to cost them their access. Maybe money, we don't know that, but at least their access to the Conservative MPs and to Pierre Poilievre. He kind of proved your point with that post, right? Yeah, their access is money. Well said. Well said. But what you saw that response from Pleb, I would imagine, or you didn't see it until now?
I did see the response. It was interesting that he didn't say anything in response to me not being allowed into the event. I think, you know, there's really like two things here, the way that I see it. The one is that I've obviously been really hard on this independence issue, and this is a big problem for the Conservative Party of Canada. And you would think that they would want to have the conversation with people who have lost faith in their party. You think they would say, this is an opportunity for us to reach those people who are feeling like there's no place for them in Confederation anymore. And not only do they want to leave, but they want to take their land with them on the way out. That would be, I think, the traditional Conservative response. We would expect to see, no, we're not going to go there. We're not going to talk to you. You're dirty and immoral, and I'm going to sit over here on my moral high ground. We haven't seen that from the Liberals for the last 2 decades now. It's been increasing and increasing. And, you know, the Conservative, traditionally, they should be the party that actually wants to have these tough conversations. And we're not seeing that anymore. And so it really is a missed opportunity for them. And I think earlier in the week when I hadn't, you know, before that post, I'd posted another post basically just saying I'm not going to be there. I wasn't accredited. Albertans, like, pay attention to what this party thinks of you, as evidenced by how they treat the media that you listen to. Like, and the other thing that I would just add to this all is, like, you know, I think it was wrong that Jason wasn't let in. But I also know that he's a relatively new podcaster. As I told you before, these people know who I am. I've been doing this for a very long time. I went to Carleton School of Journalism. I worked at the Globe and Mail. I was on the front of the line during the Freedom Convoy when protesters were being pushed out. I was right there. I got knocked over at police at one point. All this was well documented. I covered medical assistance and dying legislation for a very long time when I worked in Ottawa. I came to Alberta. I covered the removal of Jason Kenney. I went to DC. I covered his trip to DC. I covered the assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life. I was actually there. So I have a very long history in journalism of covering big stories, including the independence movement. And nobody can take that away from me. That is my career. That is my history. That is who I am. That is what I have done. And I will continue to cover big stories and important stories. And if that's going to cause me to lose access to events, I'm only going to push harder on the things that I think are important and I think that matter.
Before you go ahead, Rob, I'm just going to do this.
Yeah, that's a great answer. You can tell you're polished. You spent some time behind the mic for sure. It's funny. I've only started doing this last year with like Nico's more experience, but it's the kind of stuff you don't really notice, kind of how much skills involved in being able to do that. And yeah, you guys both do
well, let's just say it's more fun. It's actually more fun to be on this side than on that side, because you have to always be on your feet and do follow-up questions. That's normally where I am, but so it's actually quite
you can just go with it, right?
Yeah, you can take it any direction that you want.
And also,
yeah.
Yeah, and generally on the show we have a pretty I guess you could say informal interview style, so I think that makes it a little bit more comfortable as well. My question to you is are you convinced it is the separation issue and that alone? Like, had you noticed a chilling effect from the federal Conservatives before this, or was everything all good and then as soon as you started pushing this there was a 180?
No, I think it was kind of how I said. Like, I think that there was probably a myriad of reasons that fed into it. I think they don't like to be criticized. I know they really don't like my husband. Just will chat, and I know some of them off in that regard. So with the current climate of this circle, I would say that I'm probably non grata, and that's just part of politics. That can happen at times, and things do change. And so, like, as I said, I'm going to keep doing what I do. I'm going to keep covering the stories that I think matter. For the time being, maybe that means I don't have a lot of access with the Conservative Party of Canada. I think that will probably change with time, because he's not going to be the leader of the Conservative Party for that much longer. And you're going to get a whole new group of people in with new staff, and they're going to have their own political enemies that they want to silence or target. And in the meantime, there's so much other stuff that I can cover and that I can do. So I think it's wrong, and I think it's unfortunate. I would have liked to have gone. I think I could have gotten some really good coverage. It would have been interesting to talk to some people elsewhere in the country about, what they're thinking about the Alberta independence movement. But there's other ways I can get that content, and I can continue to hold the parties to account from the outside. So I think it's important, and it needs to be flagged. So I'm glad you guys are having me on today to discuss this.
I talk about this all the time, literally every day. I talk about what the Conservatives are doing and what they should be doing instead of what they're doing. And it's absolutely insane to me that they have the audacity to call themselves conservatives when they seem to sound and use the same tactics as liberals. As you pointed out earlier, censorship is not a conservative value. Censorship is always something that originates from the left, and it's mind-blowing to me that this has become something that they both do, when this is not a left versus right issue. If you believe in what you're saying, if you believe that your party has the best policies, wants the best for Canada, you should invite the people that don't agree with you to have that debate. Like, I'm a Christian conservative. Rob is a liberal, anti-woke liberal. There's a lot of things we don't agree on, but you know what we have realized after about 250 episodes together is that we tend to agree on a lot more things that I could have ever imagined, but the way that we would address a problem is different. I'm more conservative in my approach. He's more liberal, but we do see a problem, like immigration, for example. Both of us agree that there's a problem, yet it's not okay to talk about it because both the conservative and the liberals are not talking about it. But you said something I want to explore a bit further, because you kind of said that you don't think Pierre Poilievre is going to be the leader of the Conservative Party for much longer. Please elaborate. I really want to see where you're going with this.
Mm-hmm. I do think that there is going to be a spring election. I think that the Mark Carney's Liberals are watching the polls. They are doing extremely well in the polls. The Conservatives are floundering. And so I think that they're going to want to see a fall or a spring election, and they'll have a supermajority. They can basically pass through any legislation they want for 4 years, being held to very little account in the House of Commons, very little difficulty dealing with opposition. They're just going to be able to ram stuff through. Which government wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want that? That's like every government's dream. And so, if that happens, Pierre Poilievre can't hold on after losing 2 federal elections. What an embarrassment, right? Like, how could he hold on and stay on as leader? Now, of course, in politics, things can change very quickly, almost overnight. Take a look at Alberta. This separatist sentiment has been sort of bubbling under the surface basically since Alberta joined Canada. And just in the last year, actually, when I posted that video saying that Jeffrey Rath and was heading down to DC to meet with the Trump administration to talk about Alberta independence, it blew up. That was like, we saw this huge resurgence of it just by me posting a video and someone talking about it. The whole independence movement just blew up overnight. And so things can change really quickly, but I just don't know if I even really see that happening in this case, because it is very difficult for any conservative leader to govern this broad, big blue tent coalition, as they like to talk about it. There's so many different types of conservatives from Alberta to the East Coast, and I am radically more conservative than a lot of people who are in the party, which is why we've sort of seen them, this pivot to the center. And it's very difficult for the Conservatives to win with the NDP floundering. And like a Main Street research poll came out today, the methodology was criticized quite a bit. But a Main Street research poll came out today, and it showed that if there was an election, that the NDP would win 0 seats. So how does the Conservative Party form government when the NDP has just been blasted into oblivion? I don't think they can. I don't think that the environment exists for that in this country anymore. And I think, unfortunately, the result has been the Conservatives are moving further and further to the left to try to appeal to moderates. But it's just not really working for them, because people would always rather vote for the real thing than have the pretend thing. And, the liberals will criticize, moderates will even criticize the Conservatives for not being liberal enough. And then conservatives like me will criticize the party for not being conservative enough. And so I'm not saying it would be an easy thing. I do know the circumstances that need to exist for a conservative government to form are very difficult. And I just don't see them right now. And I actually don't know if I see them happening again in the near future. I suspect we will see a bit of a political realignment. And that's in large part why I'm so in on Alberta independence, because I don't see us escaping this anytime soon. And I know that the rest of the country is radically more liberal than me. It's funny, people will be like, oh, you guys are such a fringe, you're freaks. And I'm like, okay, our society is so perverse. Our culture is so debased. There's so much debauchery and sickness. I will gladly own being on the fringes of this so-called society. Believe me, I want no part of it. So they do have their work cut out for them, and I just don't see it happening for them.
Did you have something you wanted to say about this? Because I got a question. I got a follow-up question, unless you have something to ask.
I've got this is probably my final question. But Rachel, you probably know more about the inner workings and the inner machinations of the Conservative Party, certainly, than I do. But like, how tight is Pierre Poilievre's grip on this kind of stuff? For example, do you think that he would even be aware of this, that you and Jason were left off, or do you think he actually ordered it, or do you think he doesn't get involved in that kind of stuff?
Jason, maybe not. I think that when my request came in, I suspect that it was flagged for sure. And I suspect it went up, and maybe there was already an existing policy that I wouldn't be accredited for events, but I'm sure there was a conversation about it and I wouldn't even be surprised, not to toot my own horn, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was somewhat aware that I had applied and that I was banned. If he didn't directly know, the people around him for sure would have known.
I know that's the case. I've seen a video not too long ago of Pierre Poilievre admitting that he spends some of his evenings looking at what people are talking about him, what people are saying about him on YouTube. He said that on camera. That is the type of person, that's the type of narcissist we're talking about, is he spends some of his time in bed watching and listening to what other people are saying about him. So for sure, if you have an audience, I have over 200,000 followers, right? So I know that he's heard what I said. Because those guys that I called out directly, the Jasmine Lanes, the Mark Nixon, the Mario Zelaya, some of them do answer me because they don't really have a choice. So if they do, you know that Pierre Poilievre is fully aware of this. Again, you don't have the proof. I don't have the proof. But if you have somewhat of common sense.
But again, now you kind of piqued my interest. I have to get my sources working.
Well, you should. You absolutely should. you know, if I was you, and that's just me, because I like to reach out to people that I don't agree with because we bring them on the show and we talk to them. But I would have been very interested in knowing what the people that you know, like I don't know who you know about those those content creators that went to Alberta to have their own special event and were all approved to be at the convention. But if you know any of them, I would be very curious to know what they have to say about this. Like, I would text them directly, as in, censorship is not an interest of yours. Like, is free speech not a beautiful thing? Because how are you going to convince the other side if you believe in that left versus right issues? I don't, but let's say that you do. How are you going to convince them that they need to join you if you don't open that conversation?
Yeah, I would say I see a bit of a distinction between the conservative influencers that were very much there to support the party and promote the Conservative Party of Canada. I'm not even going to say conservative values, because I don't really believe that. I think they were actually there to support the CPC. And then, I'm going to kind of draw a distinction between them and the independent media, because I do think that there is a distinction there. Now, the lines these days are kind of blurred with content creation, because a lot of us are individual YouTubers now. We're doing our own thing. There's a mix of journalism and opinion and all the things going in together. For example, I'm very openly pro Alberta independence, and to me this is sort of like good versus evil. Like, you guys, we got to get out of here. Like, look around at what's happening. Like, I just don't see a place for myself in this country, and I'm genuinely afraid for myself and for my children and our future. A lot of the people who speak in favor of Alberta separatism, they talk about the economic reasons, which are obviously very important. But to me, it's so much more than that. It's so much more about the culture and the environment that I want to raise my kids in. And that is not an environment where we have this disgusting medical assistance in dying legislation where people are actually being murdered, because that's really what's happening. We have people who are changing their minds about it and they're being killed. That is murder. Like, we used to call this murder not that long ago, guys. Like, this is not hard stuff. And so I just look around and I'm genuinely afraid some of this legislation they're doing that would actually criminalize parts of my religion, parts of my Bible being read off the pulpit. We do still see pastors in jail. Like, people think this was something that just happened during COVID. Derek Reimer is still dealing in and out of jail for speaking up against drag queen story hours in libraries. So things here are really, really bad. And I do desperately want out, and I do desperately want a better life for myself and for my children. And so that's why I have no issue speaking about why I'm in favor of Alberta independence, because to me, it's just so evident that things are not going to get better in a tangible way. They might become tolerable for a while, but they're not going to get measurably better. So I would just say that I do think there is a distinction, and at the party sort of made the distinction. Some people were given these influencer passes, and some of them were given independent media passes, or just media passes, I should say. And, I did sort of message some of my friends about it, but for the more of the influencer class, I don't really know any of those people except for online. And I didn't ever expect them to speak up for me. It was more like maybe the one or two that I did know, and certainly for some of the independent media, because lots of independent media have experienced being kept from events, rebels being banned from stuff all the time. And I always have spoken up for them, whether I'm there in person or if it's simply sharing stuff online later on. And so, yeah, I definitely noticed that no one was willing to do that for me. But hey, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's refreshing to hear another conservative, sorry I'm going to use that expression, but to hear another conservative have the balls to say what you're saying, because I talk about this stuff literally every day and how appalling it actually is. But I talk about it from an Eastern perspective too. Like, I'm an Easterner. I'm not in Alberta, although we talk about Alberta separatism or independence all the time. We have some of the biggest voices in the movement coming here because we know that it's going to be ignored by mainstream media. It's never going to be given the light that it should be getting, so we make sure to talk about it. But do you think that's exactly why the Conservative Party held their first convention in 3 years in Alberta, and why all of those influencers were actually brought to Alberta, or organized their own event that was separate from the national convention, but that they were there to kind of sway some of the some of the influence that you guys are having, because that movement is growing in Alberta. That independence movement cannot be ignored anymore. So do you think that was the intent behind having the Conservative Party hold their convention there and preventing people like you from attending?
I definitely think the party is extremely concerned about Alberta independence. This is really, really bad for the Conservatives. You know, Alberta's always been like the safe province for them. They get all of our votes, they get all of our seats. They don't have to do anything for it, and they don't do anything for it anymore. They kind of expect it / act like they're owed it, to be honest. And so, yeah, I think that they're really concerned about the criticism that they're getting from the right in Alberta. I think they're concerned about the people who might choose to stay home in the next federal election because we don't really have a lot of other options. And yeah, I'm sure that they want to have their convention here. They want to try to rally support. They want to show Alberta a little bit of some love. You know, as for the influencer event, like I'm not too bothered by it. I know Marty up north, who is a good friend of mine, had kind of spoken out and said he didn't really think it was appropriate. And some people were really unhappy with his comment. I think he was just kind of trying to start a conversation. And it's my understanding that they were actually pretty close to working things out in the background. And then some of the influencers who were planning the event kind of came out and attacked Marty pretty hard. And then sort of that whole thing blew up. And then they put him on their poster. They said he was going to be at the event when he had explicitly told them not to. So I felt like they were definitely trolling him that way. And so I think things just kind of got out of control, but they're welcome to travel where they want to travel, host events where they want to travel. You know, I don't have an issue with content creators meeting up. In terms of if, you know, that was done to try to, you know, dissuade people who are in favor of independence, I don't really think so. And I really can't imagine it would have had that effect. I know that like Alberta Proud Dad, he goes by, he was there and he spoke up in favor of, you know, he said, I'm a separatist at that event, and it got some cheers. So I can't imagine that that was their intention. And if it was, it wouldn't have been successful. And other people, you know, doing their own thing, doing their own YouTube, having their own events, I don't feel that that takes away from my success in any regard. So they're absolutely welcome to have their events where they'd like to have them.
You know, the way you just spoke right now is exactly how the Conservative Party should speak about journalists that don't agree with them. Like, you literally made your own point by saying that although you might not agree with their political views, you still think they should be allowed to have whatever event and be welcome to those events. So you're kind of making you're making your own point here. So very good. Very well said. Very well said. We're running out of time, Rachel. We're bang on the hour. I want to say thank you for joining us. It was thank you for sending me that post. I was happy to reach out. We're definitely going to have you again, because again, Alberta independence is something that we bring up all the time, because Easterners need to realize what it actually means for Canada. If you guys end up leaving, it ain't good for Canada, especially not Conservatives in the rest of Canada.
No,
so
definitely not.
Go ahead, Rachel, if you have anything to say. Yep.
We'll see a pretty big, I think, like sort of political realignment in the country, because I don't think the parties as they currently exist would be able to continue. I think we'll see maybe more support for the NEP, just maybe more parties in general. But yeah, I'm thanks so much for having me. It's been a while, largely because you probably saw or maybe didn't see, but I took a really long break last year. I had just started kind of my own show on YouTube at Real Rachel Parker, if anyone wants to find me there. And it was going super well. And then I got pregnant and I got like super sick. So I just wasn't able to continue working for longer than I'd hoped. So I ended up taking about 8 months off. So now I'm back trying to do this with a newborn and a toddler. It's harder than I thought it was going to be honest. Having 2 kids has really humbled me. When I had 1, I was like, this is the easiest. Now I have 2 and I'm like, okay, I've been humbled. So, but I'm grateful that people are still, you know, willing to have me on their shows. And yeah, it's been fun.
No,
so hopefully go ahead. Sorry.
This is a lot of fun, Rachel. No, I was saying it was a lot of fun. I appreciate your time. You know, as Nico said, we do friends of the show a lot here, and you know, I know the audience has enjoyed having you on, and you know, we'd love to have you back again.
Yes, I've been reading the comments. It's too bad we didn't have time to respond to any of them because.
I mean, normally we do. When we have interviews with guests, we normally don't. But really, the show is, when it's just the show, it's always based on, you know, we're giving the audience almost as much time as us. But if you become more of a regular guest, then you probably be a little more informal. We can probably take some of these questions.
For sure, yes. And I would, and I'm sure you have other guests lined up, and also I hear my baby crying upstairs. So
I have a 7-month-old, so I understand, Rachel.
Yeah.
I have a
So
17-year-old, so I'm way ahead of you guys.
Not quite.
No shitty, no shitty
I find that-
diapers.
Do I want to know
No
how old you were
shitty
when you had your
diapers.
17-year-old? You don't look very old to have a
I was
17-year-old.
20. I'm 42 now, so I was 20.
Men and your
23.
thick
But
skin.
yeah,
and your
I'm
good
past the shitty diapers. The
collagen.
next shitty diapers will be him changing mine in another few decades or so.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
yeah, but don't be fooled by his lack of maturity. He's in his 40s. So
That's funny.
don't be fooled,
Yeah,
Rachel.
I'm 42.
Well, thanks so much for
But-
having me, guys.
Absolutely. Thanks for
Appreciate your
coming,
time,
Rachel. We'll see you soon.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
That
There
was
you
fun.
have it. Yeah, man. Very well spoken individual.
A good chat. Oh yeah, yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, like I was saying, man, that's such a skill set you don't even realize until you actually get behind the mic. Like I'm still I'll catch myself a lot doing the ums and the ahs, and it's a little thing, but it takes a while. You can tell when someone's spent a lot of time behind the mic for sure.
You don't even realize it because I edit all of that stuff out. When I release content, all of that stuff, I make you sound very intelligent. Like I remove all of those hums, all of those problems. So you're welcome. But yeah, having Rachel was great. I definitely want to have her again. I'm happy that she's back on creating content because as she said, for a while she wasn't there. I don't know, guys. Can you, in the comment section, can you tell me if on your screen Rob is frozen? Because to me, he's just frozen there. So I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's him. But if it is, if you guys can help me, if you guys can hear me, clearly it's not me. So is Rob frozen right now? Because if he is, I'll close up the show. But I believe that Rob is frozen. But you guys tell me he's frozen. So Wildflower is saying that he is frozen. Ah, there you go. I could have waited just a few seconds and I would have known that he's not even here anymore. But on that note, guys, I want to thank every single one of you for being here, for being in the comment section, for letting us know your opinions. That's always what we're all about. We want to know what you guys think and agree, disagree. We want to have that conversation. Hopefully, guys, you've been enjoying the massive amount of interviews that we've been doing recently. It's just a bit insane. I think it's the 10th episode in a row that we have somebody on. So if you guys are enjoying it, make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you're on X right now, join us on the YouTube platform, either at Real Nicolagan or at the Poilievre. Give us a follow. Give us your opinions. We want to know what you think. If you guys want to encourage us, there is a buy me a coffee option at the top left of your screen. If you want to become a member, there's a membership plan on YouTube, $2.99 a month. But at the end of the day, what we want is to see you guys back. So on that note, we are done for today, but we will see you guys 7 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Until then, have a good night, guys. Peace.